And the basic goal of this, or what we're trying to do here, is we need to, I don't think we're going to, but I would have liked to have finished political parties today and been able to spend next week on media. And obviously you're not here on Monday, it's a student holiday. And we'll have Tuesday next week, Wednesday we have our FRQ, we have Thursday and Friday, then you have test the following Monday. So it doesn't leave us a ton of time to discuss media. And I would actually like to sort of ingest some media while we go through it and really discuss, especially one of the key aspects that we see in this day and age is how biased that media is, or how accurate even, since now we're calling into question how accurate media is. Alright, so our party weaknesses, we've at least touched on these already. So our parties lack what we call rank and file membership. Rank and file membership is a term you should understand in terms of how parties are structured. You see rank and file being referred to in Congress frequently, because in Congress you have rank, right? So you have like the Speaker of the House, he is the head of the House of Representatives, then you have the majority leader, and then the whip, and all of that within your party, right? So that's rank. File is exactly what it sort of sounds like, right? Straight line. Okay? So rank and file means that you get in a straight line based upon your seniority and you do what you're told. Okay? So rank and file is something that you see in Congress, but it's something that the parties have not really been able to develop amongst the people. Okay? And there's a number of reasons for it. One, anybody can join the party. Okay? I will be 100% honest with you. I actually know people in my life. I have friends that are very conservative, and they're actually registered Democrats. Okay? The reason that they're registered Democrats is that they live in a state that has what's called a closed primary, and in the primary they want to be able to vote against the Democrat they hate the most twice. So that way they could. And I had friends that told me this, they voted against Hillary Clinton in the primary election, they voted for Bernie, and then they voted against Hillary Clinton in the general election, and they voted for Trump because they would have done anything in their power to prevent Hillary Clinton from being president of the United States. Right? So when you see that people join a party, right, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Alright, so in addition to just sort of joining by checking a little box, there's no duties, there's no dues, there's no fees, there's no requirement of attending some annual conference or meeting, right? For the most part, parties do not function even outside of election time. Alright, now I said for the most part because there are like high-level members of the RNC or the DNC that do meet. The DNC is already, I assure you, they're already sort of hatching a plan of how to unseat Trump in 2020, right? Or Pence in 2020, who knows? All right. Again, with this, most Americans are not really active participants, and that's sort of redundant to a lot of the other things that I've already said. We've talked on multiple occasions now about our increase in the percentage of independents. Right, so more and more people are identifying as independent and are split ticket voting or candidate based voting and whatnot. You also have issues between what you would consider party regulars and then purists, ideological purists, candidate loyalists, all kinds of things. This is something that you saw specifically in the Democratic Party over the past year or so, right? So you had the party regulars, these are the sort of super delegates who were voting for Hillary Clinton. You had issue purists like Elizabeth Warren who wanted very specific progressive democratic ideals brought into the party and to be a part of the party platform. And then you had candidate loyalists, people that party or bust, right? Which is why you saw Bernie Sanders still get an electoral vote even though he wasn't the official candidate, right? As far as your regulars go, they tend to be, in all honesty, they tend to be a little bit more middle income. Again, our lower income, they don't participate as much. When we say lower in this regard, what we're really referring to is like lower middle class. It's still middle class, all right? They do tend to be a little bit older. There are some studies that suggest they're a little less educated. And by less educated, I mean that they've not necessarily pursued higher degrees. Doesn't mean that they're less intelligent necessarily. They do also tend to be more pragmatic. Okay? Party regulars are individuals who have been in the process for a long time generally. That's why they're older. Right? You don't become sort of a party regular at 22. And so they're more pragmatic because they understand that the way our government is supposed to work, and again, I say supposed to work, is based on compromise, right? And things of that nature. Okay? These people tend to support pretty much all of the party's platform. They tend to be your party loyalists tend to be what you call straight ticket voters, right? So they're going to vote, if it's a Democratic Party loyalist, they'll vote for all the Democratic candidates regardless of even if they really dislike one of them individually, they vote for him anyways, just because it's what's in the best interest of the party. And your purists or loyalists, on the other hand, they tend to be a little bit more well off, okay, which makes them a little less pragmatic, right? They're more ideological. They think that everything is hunky-dory, it's going to work out, and that you fight for, you know, what's right, and that losing's okay because you were on the side of right. Right? So they're less pragmatic. They're far more ideological. They're younger typically, because I think there's honestly an aspect of not really understanding how the world works. Right? And I'm not trying to like belittle you or knock on you guys, okay? But when you are young, the younger you are, the less you sort of understand how the world functions and the need for compromise and the fact that one single individual idea is not always, even if it's a great idea, it isn't always necessarily feasible or what's in the best interest of the nation at a given time. And these people, the purists or the loyalists, they tend to be ones that will split ticket vote, right? So again, your Bernie bros, that's what they were called, right? These are people that did not go out and vote for Hillary Clinton, right? In fact, I saw an article almost a year ago now in which a staunchly Democratic supporter said that if the general election came down to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, she would vote for Donald Trump. Now, this is obviously before a lot of Donald Trump's extracurricular issues, but she made the argument that at least the Republican Party is giving the people what they want. And she fits into that sort of candidate loyalist ideological type of voter. She also wrote for a really left-wing publication, but there you go. This gives you some affiliation by age, and then sort of where they fit on the political spectrum. None of this should really surprise you. And we look and we see that the majority of people here are in the moderate range. And so most of them are moderate. What you find is when you get over here to conservative, right, it's the old folks. The young over here are far more likely to be liberal. The young are also far more likely, and it's not a huge percentage, but they're far more likely than the other two groups to sort of have yet to make up their mind. All right. In terms of what we see with the party weakness, some of the things that we look at in terms of the Republican Party, has spent time really sort of pushing its base, right? Focusing on, some staunch, sort of socially conservative issues and pushing those, which does cause some alienation. It does cause some issues in terms of their membership, their strength, how people view them, right? We look at, especially in a social aspect, we look at the Republican Party now as being sort of oppressive. And on some level, the Republican Party has spent time actually cultivating that sort of mentality or that ideology, right? And so what you would be looking at, or what you would want really, is at times more of a party passiveness. You would want a situation where they're slow to respond, where they allow things to sort of exist in order to not alienate significant percentages of the people. Okay. Now, again, as our parties have been weakened, and again, this is a little redundant, and some of the functions of the parties have been weakened, some of them have simply disappeared, right? So, nomination of candidates used to be done entirely by the party itself. The people now have an aspect or an input into that, right? The funding of campaigns, it used to be funded by the party. Individuals now raise money for themselves, right? And parties, when they were strong, when a party was viewed as being ideologically pure, it was able to sort of dominate government, right? We looked at some of those historical periods. The weakness of the party is, again, one of those things that has sort of led to the era of divided government that we're in now. Okay, and then finally, it used to be the party that filled sort of those civil service positions. Now that, one, led to a lot of corruption that we know about in Bush, but even when issues where there was not corruption, right, party loyalists were tended to be the ones that were afforded jobs and opportunities. Okay. The parties themselves are decentralized. That's their organizational structure. Okay, so you have national, and then state, and then local. The national committees do not don't really interfere with state and local committees. They don't sort of dictate to them how they fundraise or positions that they take. They don't sort of push candidates on the state or local level. All right, but ultimately it's the national level that sort of sets that agenda, that platform. They're ultimately the ones that are in charge, right? So this is the sort of structure in terms of a little bit of your hierarchy and what you see, right? But you see it all the way at the bottom here, right? You look at the voters who really are not necessarily attached to the party structure, but they do go to the convention because they send delegates and they nominate and elect people in Congress. Okay. We'll go ahead and stop there. So on Tuesday, we'll go through the functions of political parties. We'll touch up on third parties real quick, and then we'll have Thursday and Friday of next week